Hi everyone, this is Professor Sebastian. Welcome back to our statistics class notes, and we are now entering chapter 7. So in this third part of our semester course, we are now getting into the topic called inferential statistics. So here in chapter 7, we're just now broaching the surface of that. So we're on page 90 of our class notes, and this is chapter 7, Survey and Sampling Inference. So this is where we're starting to introduce inferential statistics. We want to discuss survey quality and identify possible sources of bias in our surveys. Bias are things that make us not get a true answer to our survey questions. And then we're going to use the central limit theorem later on in this chapter for sample proportions to construct confidence intervals. That won't be until section 7.4, and that's kind of the culmination of the chapter. Okay, so here in section 7.1, we're learning about the world through surveys. We want to distinguish between populations and samples, and then parameters and statistics. Always remember that populations have parameters, samples have statistics. So we're going to identify possible sources of bias in our surveys, and we're going to identify the features of a simple random sample. Populations and parameters. So first of all, always remember populations have parameters. These two vocabulary words go together. A population is a group of objects or people that we wish to study. A parameter is a numerical value characterizing some aspect of the population, like the population mean or the population proportion or something like that. Okay, in example 118, I want to talk about populations and parameters. So let's just say that data is gathered on the weights of all NFL football players. The mean of the data is calculated. So the population that we're studying is all NFL football players. And since that's not a large group of people, we're actually able to study all of them. And the parameter that we're studying is the mean weight of all NFL football players. Remember that the symbol we use for the mean is mu. For a population, that's the symbol we use for the mean. Remember, the symbol we use for the mean of a sample is x bar. But if you see the symbol mu, that's the mean of a population. All right, measuring populations. A census. A census is how we measure population. That's a survey which measures every member of a population. Now, most populations are too large for a census. They're not like all NFL football players, which is not that big. So we study populations by measuring samples instead. Now, the sample won't measure the whole population, but we'll be able to make inferences from our sample about what is going on in the population. Okay, so samples. Now, samples and statistics. Again, these go together. A sample is a collection of objects or people taken from a population of interest. So the population may be too big to study, so we're going to collect a sample. A statistic is a numerical characteristic of a sample. Because a statistic is used to estimate the value of a population characteristic, sometimes we call statistics estimators. So sometimes it's called an estimator.